Well, that is the speech, part of the speech, actually, of the presidential speech that was broadcast yesterday by the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Now, there continues to be, chaos responses, reactions to whether or not the president's speech did address the demands of Nigerians. And we've also seen the Nigerian youth actually come out and say that the president's speech did not address the demands of the organizers of the hashtag End Bad Governance.
Some people said the president was giving report card.
Exactly.
It was
exactly
given report card of his administration, and Nigerians are saying we did not ask you for a report card. We are the one to grade you. You should not come and tell us this is what you've done, because realities of what we've seen, visible realities. You are saying that the revenue and allocation has doubled this period compared to last year to in the tune of 9.1 trillion naira. Is it visible? Can we Nigerians say that it is actually true? We don't want your achievement. We want lives to be better. And just like what you said, a lot of people have knocked at the president's speech that no, you do not address the real issues that these protesters were making demands of.
Well, we have Dr. Ali Ilyas joining us virtually this morning from Abuja. We'll be digging into this conversation with him just to see what would have been the expectation of Nigerians and how well the president would have rather fared. Good morning, Dr. Ali Ilyas. Good to have you on Rise and Shine this morning.
Good morning, and thank you for having me.
Good morning, Dr. Ali.
How is Abuja? Some headlines this morning is saying that, protesters, have been short of their venue for protest. What's the condition of things? Today is day 5. How has it been so far?
Right. Most of us are still living in palpable fear because especially those of us who stay along airport road, we are being careful because you have to pass through the national stadium where you are parking. So we are being careful. But by and large, I think the protesters are still finding their way because if the government tends to stop them somewhere, they will decide to move to another place. Perhaps they also reiterated that government said they should protest within national stadium. So why is government stopping them? That's a question we need federal government and the Commissioner of Police to answer.
So, what are your thoughts holistically concerning the speech of the president yesterday? We did see him once again enumerate some of the things that he has done. Why he imposed fuel subsidy removal and reiterated the fact that it will not be reneged on. He talked about the fact that that particular decision was to close on the greed gap for certain elements within the system. He, also talked about the forex window and all of that. Just saying same old things that we know that he has done in the last 14 months. And my first question would be, what exactly did Nigerians expect? And to what extent do you think that the speech was good enough? Is it just about, let Mr. President address Nigerians, or let him address the concerns of Nigerians?
Right. I think we all expect the president to come and speak to us. You will recall that most people, even myself, I said that the president should address Nigeria, at least to cope the challenges we are facing. But by and large, I think it's better we don't even see president address Nigeria than giving us such an address. I think president is disconnected with the fact that he's not in the campaign season again, and we call him to come and give us solution to the problems. But to our surprise, he keep on reiterating what he has been doing, and we expect him to bring a kind of solution to the problem. The protesters have about charters of demand, maybe about 13. The president did not even address one of them. And I was expecting the president to say, okay, in as much as we have issues in terms of first of all removal, because NNPC is the only thing you can buy at 617. Okay, I still remove 100 naira, we can buy at 570. There are some things that president can just do a quick win to just make people to at least to persuade people, to move out of the street. But by and large, it seems it's disconnected with what people actually want. And for me, I think it's quite dangerous because You know, president is someone who have presented before and know what it means to present charters of demand. So for me, I think president is connected with what people actually want.
Dr. Aliyu, you know, one of the things that the president said was that government revenue has doubled compared to last year, into the tune of 9.1 trillion. As an economist, will you say that the government are being true with this, owing to the fact that Nigerians were hitting the streets, most especially protesting for hunger in the land?
Right. If you look at this government wants to make more money. If you recall, government tried to remove subsidy, do floating of naira, increase custom tariff, you know, a lot of things. The government wants to have more money, but the problem is that government more money simply means loading individual and citizens in Nigeria. Because you recall that government have more money now, but citizens are having poor purchasing power. How does government actually take it away from us? Government has increased fuel subsidy, so most of us spend more money in purchasing things that we want to. So government have level of agriculture is high, and by the time we have about 6 months, you see him harvesting, and it should have been better. So I expect other state governors to queue, but president must take the lead.
Okay, now these are really serious concerns that we're looking at. Now, part of what the request that protesters are really asking for is for the presidency to renege on fuel subsidy. Now, by May 29, 2023, as at May 29, 2023, when the Tinubu-led administration came on board, fuel was about 187, 197 naira per litre in the country. And, you know, immediately after that statement, literally like hours later, we saw pump price skyrocket up to 660. And now we are buying fuel as high as 900 naira, even here in Uyo. As an economist, the question will be, can we renege on this fuel subsidy removal, or we should all stick to the narrative of the fact that in the long term, we are going to be reaping the harvest of this subsidy removal?
Well, I see long time as lullaby. Because when you say long time, what would have happened before long time? That's why people are demanding that you should remove the fuel subsidy. But the thing is this, I think even the removal of fuel subsidy was not well calculated by the president, because removing it wouldn't have been a problem if those things that President Muhammadu Buhari has planned are actually activated. One, if a refinery is working and Dangote refinery is working, that would have helped. And also, the issue of the CNG. I can tell you point blank, I drove down to a CNG designated according to the federal government to actually convert my car from petrol to CNG. On getting there, they told me that they are sorry, they have not received materials that they will use to convert the vehicle. And after, but government has been saying it all over that they are. In fact, I saw it in a flyer that government actually share in public. So why have they said they don't have, government has not supplied them, that they can only get my number anytime those things are available. That's where they will. I can give you the name. The fuel station is called Abdin. The agent there is Salma Gas, and government has been talking about them. So if you look at that, there's a disconnect from what government is saying and the reality. And the only place that is actually doing it along airport road here is Nipo. But if you go to Nipo, it has moved from 450,000 naira to about 1 million naira to convert. And besides that, if you also wait for like 4 months or 3, because there's a lot of people in the queue that need to be converted. So I think government is not proactive enough. They are only reactive. Because if they are proactive enough, by now they would have onboarded that sector. The private owner would have come into it, and conversion would be everywhere. According to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu yesterday, he's saying that he has directed that 1 million CNG kits will be shared to the commercial driver. What is the reality about it? I was thinking government would have come and said 700 vehicles has been converted, but nothing like that. So it appears that most of them are what they are actually saying, not the reality. So I think they should marry the reality on ground And that's why the protesters are having issues. They are not seeing anything practical to solve the problem. Government is not rhetoric. I think government is still campaigning.
Now, one of the questions I'll ask is, whilst Nigerians even consider transiting to CNG, we are buying gas at about 1,400 per kilogram right now.
Yes.
Do you think it is sustainable for Nigerians? If once we transfer to CNG, you're already going to be spending ₦1 million to, reroute your car to spend gas. Do you think it is economically friendly for us to actually, drive on gas in this country?
Right. If you look at it, the president is the minister of the petroleum, and they also have arm for gas and arm for petroleum as for minister of state. But what I think is that if you recall before now, we always say we have gas flaring. Our gas flaring is wasting. Now, for us to convert the gas to use becomes a problem, right? If you want to even say we are gas dominated country, why are we even buying gas per kg? The amount we are buying it, too bad for us to buy. So I think government should be sensitive and be proactive to make sure things actually work as it's supposed to be. Because if you ask me, it doesn't appear that we even have this thing in abundance. So I think we are still importing or buying it from somewhere. So I think government should be much more conscious to make that thing available. You recall that government also said they are giving 10 billion to each state to actually buy CNG buses. The issue is not about buying CNG buses. The issue is about having CNG facility available so that every person that decides to convert his own car can go at his will. I can tell you, I have a friend who converted his car about 8 months ago. So that friend used to expend 55,000 naira every week on petroleum. But now that he has converted his car, on his Sienna car, he now uses about 12,000 naira every week. You see the gap? A gap of 41,000 naira. And this is where our income has been eroded. This is where our purchasing power has been eroded. And you know that anything that affects fuel or fuel will transfer to the consumer. Let me give you a good example. Last year, July 13, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu declared state of emergency on food security. I can tell you up to now, I could see 1 year down the line, we have not seen the impact of the declaration of food security. Now, what is the major problem? The problem is the problem of supply chain. Because it's not that there are some food are not available. Imagine the food is available in Bauchi. Now, I want to now take the food from Bauchi to Abuja. How much am I going to use? A 40-foot container may be going for 30 million naira. And the food I bought at 3 million naira. Or 4 million naira. You can see that there's no way it will not be transferred to our consumers. So that's why we said government should come clean in this. If at all you may not want to remove the first subsidy. Why not focus on CNG and make it in abundance?
Dr. Aliyu, let me, before I actually, ask you the first question, I just want you, because you've made mention, I will take you back a little bit where you made mention that what the government is saying is not actually, meeting up with the realities. Do you think that fuel subsidy removal is actually in place? Because there's been allegation that the fuel subsidy is still in place owing to the fact that even the change in the dollar rate is not affecting the price of pump price at petrol station. There's been federal government, even the president emphasized yesterday that he's not going to go back on fuel subsidy. But do you think, as an economist, with the calculation of everything, that fuel subsidy is still being paid in this country?
I can tell you authoritatively there's fuel subsidy now. The only thing is that government, like I told you, it is wrong to remove fuel subsidy and float the naira. So for government to have floated the naira now, the level of purchase is now high. Ideally, if we are to buy at the reality in the global market, we will buy over 1,000 naira. Even government that is selling at 617 in its own NNPC would have been selling above 1,000 naira. But because of the forex, government is now pushing the effect and paying for fuel subsidy. But you don't compare it to the earlier one that they were doing in totality. So it is partial payment now, not like before. So for me, fuel subsidy is still ongoing. That's how I listened to the president yesterday and said we won't go back on fuel subsidy, removing fuel subsidy. We are still paying subsidy as now. And that's where the contradiction actually came about.
Okay, so these are very serious things that we should be reacting to. If Nigerians can vehemently say that subsidy is still is still in place in the country, is there no channel for us to actually hold the federal government, hold President Bola Ahmed Tinubu accountable for his speech on May 29, 2023? Why are we being lied to?
True.
So you are still paying subsidies, but we are buying, fuel at an exorbitant price, and it is affecting literally everything else in the country. Dr. Aliyu, just before we bring the response of the sponsors of the hashtag End Bad Governance protest, I really, really love you to talk about that. From the front of CSOs, Nigerians, how can we get the federal government to own up to the fact that they are still paying subsidy, or allow us to buy fuel commodities at rebate prices as when subsidies were actually in place?
You recall that this very president protested in 2012, October 2012 to be precise, against fuel subsidy removal. Now, I can tell you, it's an open book. It is clear that government is still paying subsidy. The only thing we need to ask government for is that, government, how much are you spending? How much are you expending on fuel subsidy now every month? We need them to come claim kind of accountability. But that they are not paying subsidy, there is no way NNPC can even touch that. Remember, they are the only importer of fuel, PMS, as at now, and that's why they are the only importer. Ordinary marketer cannot go and purchase it and sell to us at 17, except government. So they are actually paying first subsidy. The only thing they care so and well-meaning Nigerians should ask federal government is, how much are you expending on fuel subsidy?
Okay, so let's take the video bringing us some response and reactions of the Nigerian youth, the sponsors of the hashtag EdBat Governance, at this point, to the speech of the president, so that we can delve into the conversation with Dr. Elias this morning.
Organizations actively mobilizing for this End Bad Governance protest. I mean, just as my colleague said, the aim of this press conference is to address important issues pertaining to our protest. I mean, this is the fourth day of the protest, and we've seen different level of attacks, victimization across board, so that we wish to use this opportunity to address some of these important things, and to also respond directly to some of the points made by Mr. President. Of course, I will not call those things points, but I mean some of the things he expressed this morning. So, comrades, good morning once again. Presidential broadcast: Tinubu is out of touch with the masses and the demands of our protest. The insistence that the protests are politically motivated shows a deep disconnection with the masses. The economic progress the president reads out are for himself and his cronies, and not for the masses. The reference to protesters as misguided and uninformed shows that the president is a condescending dictator. We wish to express our sadness and deep disappointment at the latest broadcast by President Tinubu, which is the first address to the nation ever since the End Bad Governance protest started, which is now on the fourth day. After over 3 weeks since Nigerians started mobilizing to take to the streets, and after scores of dead protesters and assaulted journalists from the first 3 days of the protest, President Tinubu broadcast corruption and gross human rights abuses that we have seen every day before us. The protest was a lawful response of the Nigerian people to the failure of the Tinubu government and the entire ruling class to address this endemic systemic crisis after over 4 months in power. 14 months in power, rather. These protests were mobilized for by the flagrant extravagance of political office holders in Nigeria for the past 14 months, while asking Nigerians to be patient of hunger and hardship, which they claim to be our sacrifice for the nation. But what we have experienced within the 14 years is that those 14 months, is that those who ask us to be patient and have sacrifice are the same persons who are living luxurious lifestyle, who are budgeting millions and billions of naira to live lavishly. In fact, we heard when lawmakers bought vehicles worth over 130 million naira for themselves. At a point, even the president had to budget billions of naira to renovate the presidential building in Lagos. And from the record, the former president, who spent 4 years in office, only used that residence just twice in those 8 years. Yet the president felt the hardship faced by Nigerians were not needed. That what should be the priority of the government was to go and lavish billions of naira to renovate buildings. We think clearly that this itself is not sacrifice. That instead, Nigerians, the poor masses, are the ones being sacrificed by the Tinubu government. And it is on that basis that Nigerians themselves felt the need that enough is enough, that they cannot continue to live under this kind of hardship, especially when you consider the abundant resources we have in Nigeria to transform our lives, which was what mobilized for that protest. Because in the recent period, we've had many calls, especially from government supporters, that the protest they need to know the sponsors or people who are mobilized for it. But we've made it clear at different points that the Tinubu government himself and the policies they've implemented over the years are the reasons why Nigerians took to the street. Therefore, they are the ones who have mobilized us for this protest. So, comrades, we'll move to the next speaker to shed more light on these points we'll make.
Well, that's the reaction right there by, the faces of those behind the protest that is currently going on in the country. Today is day 5, and they have vehemently said that the address of the president did not answer their questions. What's still going on with fuel subsidy? What's happening with the floating of, the naira? What's going on with the CNG buses that were promised? We're just really hoping to dig into these issues and see how holistically it can be addressed. We still have Dr. Ali Ilyas on the line this morning. Doctor, we'd like to take your reaction to this particular response given to the organizers of the #EdBad Governance protest.
It appeared the protest organizers actually understand the government very well, because according to them in their opening remarks, they said it appeared the president is connected with the reality on ground, that the protest itself is because of the policy of the Tinubu administration. And if you ask me, honestly, I can tell you that protest is not even sponsored by people, it is sponsored by hunger. It's sponsored by deprivation. It is sponsored by poverty. It's a clear thing that even the rich understand that there's a challenge in Nigeria because of the purchasing power of everyone. So I think government should see the reality and actually look at providing solutions. But for me, when President Bola Ahmed Tinubu came on board yesterday, I was expecting him to bring about some solutions. Tell us that, okay, the point of the removal, this is what I will do to remove it. The CNG, this is what I will do. More wonder that I will do. The food security, this is what we will do going forward. I want a forward solution, not telling us about what you've been doing or what you have planned to do. We want government to come to the reality. But going forward now, today is another day for the protest, and you can see that they are not reneging. They also come out to say that this is their focus and this is what they are doing. So I saw them continue the protest. I only want the government to be cautious not to actually kill more, because if you notice now, most people have lost their lives. And but for me, I think government, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, may still have to come back again. We recall that when you look at Kenya's scenario and Bangladesh, you see that the government have to come out and bring about solutions. In the case of Kenya, the man has to withdraw the policy. So these are the things that I am hoping, I'm thinking that maybe at the point, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu would have come in with another solution. Because at this point in time, we want a solution going forward.
Dr. Ali, what some of the demands that the protesters made were, let's go back to when they made a demand that fuel price be returned to 100 naira per litre and minimum wage be at 300,000 naira. Do you think that the current administration will be able to reflect this or effect this demand? Because sometimes when people protest, go hit the streets, it just looks like it's a noise making to the ears of the leaders. They usually do not answer to this. I mean, you can reflect back on NSAS, NSAS protests. Do you think that the federal government will even pay attention to any of these demands that the protesters are making?
Right. I think the protesters are over-ambitious, if I would say, and that to really imagine government pay 300,000 and bringing fuel subsidy, fuel price to 100 naira. I think, and that's the negotiating point for them, and which is a good one. They only want government to reduce the fuel forecast very well, because government bringing about
the network is getting
so I think I'm happy that they are coming up with a particular demand, because add your way. Sometimes you don't need to start demanding for a whole lot. You can demand for one and focus on it. You recall that people in Kenya do not demand for everything. They actually demand for withdrawal of the finance price. So for me, I think our bad governance. For me, bad governance is big. So you have to be specific. President, reduce your minister. That is direct. President, remove fuel subsidy. We have to be specific. Bad governance is vague. And in Nigerian context, in fact, we look at all the facets of government, even if you look at it from the legislature to the state governor, to local government, even to federal government, there's a lot of bad governance. So I think they should be specific, not using a vague language.
But you agree with me that when the president came on board, he made some promises, which one of them was that the Port Harcourt refinery will start working. And if protesters are asking for 100 naira per litre, it will mean that the refinery should be in place. And the fuel subsidy removal was in line that when they remove the fuel subsidy, they will channel the refinery so that Nigerians will be able to purchase petrol or, oil and gas at a reasonable price. Do you not think that that particular amount they are demanding is possible if the NNPC or Port Harcourt refinery or other refineries in the country is working well? I mean, instead of us, importing fuel products into the country.
Well, it appeared to me that it's more of a fallen hope to think government will come up with refinery, because we have been waiting for refinery every time. What they said is October, what they say is December, they say is March, now we're in August. So for me, I think government is not, because for me, even President Bola Ahmed wants to show leadership that wants to bring about refinery up. I was thinking he will go to that place himself, or he will start to head that he's not making it work. Because some of them are saying there's some cabal. Who is cabal before president? So president should do more. Then in terms of it's clear that if we are producing in Nigeria, it's going to reduce fuel price, because that will have killed the cost of transportation. And cost of transportation is taking about 40%. So if you are buying fuel at 900 naira, that means the cost of transportation of the fuel is about 40% of the actual amount. So if you look at it critically, you discover that if 300 naira is out of this amount we are buying fuel, for instance, NNPC is selling it at 617. Imagine if they remove 200 naira cost of transportation from where they bought it from to where Nigeria. That would have been a super. So I think government must be up and doing. President must make sure he comes out clean and said, okay, refinery will work in the next 2 months, and we will be sure that it will work. So I think that's the solution. We need to refine and produce fuel in Nigeria. And like Dangote, we are still expecting Dangote. According to the president, they will now sell to him in Naira, while he will also sell to us in Naira. We look forward to that.
Okay. It's been great speaking with Dr. Ali Ilyas this morning. We also have joining us virtually Elder Comrade Esau Edom. He is the national chairman, leader of South APC support groups, CACOS, of course. He's joining us from Cross River State this morning. Good morning, Elder Edom. Thanks for joining us. Okay. I'm sure in a moment that he joins us, we'll still be able to have that conversation. Dr. Elias, okay, we're supposed to be joined by APC support group leader, but we're still holding out on that. But we have we've seen a lot of elites, quite a number of elites come out to actually say what their expectations might have been out of the address of the president. Someone like the likes of Dele Momodu even came out, to speak, and he's saying he's amazed as to what the address of the president actually did capture. Now we are looking at some of the solutions that Dele Momodu himself actually preferred. Now he's saying we have issues in the country. One of the most overwhelmingly buoyant government is the Tinubu-led administration. A lot of monies have been spent. Now he's saying they should reduce the number of aircraft in their fleet to 2. He also said due to the unprecedented suffering, reduce and scrap out the number of ministries. Remember that we all were having that risenshine report conversation. The president even said in the next couple of months it was going to be implemented. And just after that, we saw Ministry of Livestock come out. It looks like we are actually running a hopeless race where the federal government is concerned, Dr. Elias. With some of this, it now looks like Nigerians know the solutions that the presidency should be working with, but they seem to be bereft of ideas in the opinion of Nigerians.
Right. You look at risenshine report. If you ask me, the day they made mention of risenshine report, I told people that it's something that will fail even right from the beginning, because at the time risenshine proposed reduction of government size, it was 300 MDAs. But now we have over 1,100 MDAs. So how do you expect it to be reduced to an extent? So I thought that government does play bigamy. So and now that he has about 49 ministers, maybe livestock ministry inclusive, and we expect to have about 36. We have all 37 at once. Now we have 49, and most of them have to be on their SUV. They have to have aid, money too. I think this government is logo signature, and they are spending money. Actually, and they have the money. I can say, because look at this government. This government has a lot of money. My problem is that how are they managing the money? The money is not reflecting it. And so Nigerians are sacrificing, even the federal government is not sacrificing, because that's something it means. Because with this first subsidy removal, you have eroded, reduce our purchasing power to the barest minimum. Now you are living at large, and we're not seeing what you're actually doing. And I must also tell you, I challenge the government to come up with their short-term, medium-term, and long-term economic plan for this country. There is no economic plan. This government is only being reactive. When there is a problem, okay, we bring palliative. There's problem of CNG, we add to this. You know, there's no clear-cut direction. Imagine if there is a clear-cut direction, which the local government, state government, federal government, and private sector we key into. We now know that in the next 3 months, this is what we expect. In the next 1 year, this is the target of the president. So these are the things we are not seeing.
Really serious concern. But we have Elder Adam joining us right now. Unfortunately, we will not be able to have the weight of conversation we hope to have with him. But we'll just take his introductions today, and hopefully tomorrow we should be able to go in-depthly to this conversation. Now, as the South chairman for the support groups, caucus, good morning, Elder Adam. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Wow.
Okay, unfortunately, I think network is having the worst of us. We hope to have him tomorrow, because there's certain questions that only, APC cabinet members can actually answer. When you cumulatively look at the activities of your party, would you rate it successful? How, if you read the papers and some other stories, you see people who said, they were in support of this administration coming in, but now they're regretting it. And then is it possible for APC members to call their lead man and say, hey, man, this is not what we bargained for. You're not representing our party well. You should do this and this differently.
They even have disciplinary committee within the party that when a particular office holder doesn't do according to the manifestos of the party, that they are being called to, to order. Do we have that in place? So all of this, and Nigerians, right from the inception of the APC administration, have been moving from one level of issues, one level of struggle to the other. They will tell you, Shege Promax to Shege Bangaza.
Dr. Elias is still on the line. Now, he was talking about the Dangote refinery, just as we tried to, wrap up the conversation this morning. In recent weeks, Dr. Elias, it looks like there has been a political undertone to all of the Dangote refinery, conversation. Are you going to be supplied crude by Nigeria, or are you going to be buying it from outside the country? Is it really good? Now, yes, the federal government on paper is saying, but like you've even established in part of your conversation this morning, is one thing on paper and is another thing in practice. What is really going to be the fate of Nigerians and the country where crude oil is concerned? Because it looks like, there was going to be some form of hope with that refinery, but it literally looks like it has become a tossing political paper as of now.
Right. You see, this government, once they mention something, you have to watch out to see it coming to reality. Because sometimes they don't give us, on paper, on media, telling us they do this, they do that. So I want them to actually practicalize what they are talking about Dangote. And for Dangote, in as much as a businessman, for Dangote, I think we should also partner and work alongside the regulators of this organization itself. So I think Dangote will also cooperate with them. But I think government should be more concerned, because if Dangote actually come on board, I can tell you all the forest issue will be a forgotten issue, and the issue of supplying of PMS, aviation fuel, diesel would have been solved, because we won't be depending on importation as such. So I think government should do more. They should go beyond the rhetoric, make the crude oil available for Dangote, get a special window for him among other modular refineries. I think it's critical that government should be proactive, not reactive at every point in time.
Okay, so we'd like to take your last words as we wrap up the show this morning. Today is day 5 of the hashtag End Bad Governance protest. We have also recorded in some parts of the country high rates of looting. Well, some people are numerically putting it at about 50 billion naira. That would be too much to put, because I don't know what is happening with the billions in Nigeria. But what would be your last
We're talking billions
this morning,
now.
Yeah, to Nigerians, to protesters, to the federal government in light of the protest?
In as much as I'm averse to protest and I'm averse to looting, I think poverty is another problem that we need to look at very well. Because if you look at the part where looting actually came on board, you see that most people that actually carried out that looting, they are not the real protesters. They are only taking advantage of such. And we said an idle and is devil workshop. You agree with me that most of them are not actively working anywhere. So they see it as an advantage to loot. So we don't support that. We want real protest and real protester. But government in the long run should also address the issue of poverty, availability of jobs, taking. You will see a minor joining the protest, which is not expected. I think it's where our country is subjected to. That's why we're experiencing that. I'm averse to looting. I'm also averse to violent protest. A protest be a disciplined and well-arranged protest. As President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, along others, did their own in June 12. In 2012.
All right, thank you so much, Dr. Ali Ulia, for joining us and, throwing more light on the issues currently going on in the country. It's been great speaking to him, of course, a public affairs analyst and an economist. So he's right vested in the economic issues that we had. Thank you so much for your time. We do hope that you enjoy the rest of your day. Well, serious conversations. Thank you so much. Thank you. Serious conversations that we've had there this morning. But it looks like Nigeria leaves us with more questions than we can beg to have answers for. But it's Tuesday morning, and that's where we're going to be wrapping up the show.
Tuesday morning or Monday morning?
Is it Monday? Look at that.
It's too early. Don't jump the week.
It's Monday morning. All right, then. My name is Uyai, and this is where we're saying bye-bye for now.
My name is Ime Emmanuel, and thank God someone did not say that her name is Mbasi again today. Do enjoy the rest of our shows on Spectrum TV.
All right, then. Bye-bye for now.
Bye.